Hey everyone, my name is Matt. Welcome to my backyard. Today we're actually going to be heading out and doing a log recovery. I'm getting all loaded up for that. I'm actually pretty excited because this is the first real, adventure pickup that I've done this year. I have picked up logs this year. I picked up two, but they've been just sitting in a parking lot. So it's not all that exciting. There's no adventure there. This time we're actually going to go out and do a little cutting and maybe some interesting loading. We'll see how that goes. The log is a red oak tree that was either blown over or it fell over. It's uprooted in a viewer's front yard. He reached out to me and asked if I was interested in it, and it's been a little while since I said yes. I have a lot of pickups to do, so we're gonna finally get out there and see what we're getting into. So the log isn't gonna be anything like this guy is currently on the saw. Looks like in the pictures it's probably at most 3 feet in diameter towards the base, but we are gonna be doing some cutting since it is uprooted. So I am loading up the chainsaws. So I got both of my saws and my saw box, which I really like having a box just for the chainsaw stuff. So you can take literally all of your chainsaw accessories with you in one little swoop. So I have all the safety equipment, felling wedges, bar oil, extra chains, and a sharpener. And basically anything you need for a chainsaw is in this box. So it also makes it nice to store the stuff when you're at home because it all just kind of lives in there, and I know where all my chainsaw stuff is. I've got all of my recovery stuff, jacks and tongs and other jacks. And I got a bunch of blocking too, because when you're out there, you never know, you might need a block of wood to stick under something or whatever. Got the winch battery, got a pry bar, my PV and cant hook are already in the truck, as well as my chains and binders. And since we're gonna be doing some cutting and maybe some weird felling, I got a sledgehammer as well for pounding in some wedges. All right, so I'm gonna put the stuff in the back of the truck. The trailer's already hooked up, and I think at that point we can get the heck out of here. Okay, a little bit of blocking that fell off. Tie up this arch. Alrighty, so we're not going too far today. The GPS says 14 miles, so should be a quick little drive. And the other thing in the back of my mind is if this is too big, it might be a multi-trip thing. But at least today, we can get everything prepped and take back what we can. All right, here we are. That is down in the dirt quite a bit. So after walking around a little bit, I realized this is a lot of tree, so we'll see how that goes. But we have about, 20 something feet from the base up to the crotch, and then we have these limbs up here. The crotch is 4 feet in diameter. Down here it's closer to 3 feet, but you can see how this thing is uprooted. And what's kind of interesting here is it's uprooted, but it has also shifted all of the soil and mound back with it. So one of the challenges with a uprooted tree like this is if this thing is sitting on above a hole, if you release it anywhere, it's going to try and stand back up down to the hole. But I think we're a little bit lucky here because this thing is fully forced up into the hill, so it's not going to even try and stand back up or move backwards again. So it should be pretty stable as we're cutting. You can see we have a lot of stuff hanging up in the air still. So I'm thinking we'll have a couple of smaller logs up here from the canopy, and then we have the main crotch section here, which is probably going to be maybe 7 feet long, and then we'll have 2 8-foot long logs down there we can take as well. So I'm going to get set up and get these things cut. This is definitely going to be a multiple trip situation, so today I'm going to try and get the base sections out of here because they're uniform, and maybe grab a couple of these things and get those back. But at least everything will be prepped and a little bit more clean. I'm gonna move this small section of log here out of the way. That way I have a clear escape path when I go to cut the next section that's up in the air. So I just laid out the cuts here. So this section here for the crotch will be about 6 feet long, and that'll leave me with two roughly 8-foot sections down here. So that stick right there to that wedge is 8 feet. And then we come down here and we see what we're gonna deal with when we separate this thing from the root ball. There is a hole down here where the roots used to be. So I should be able to swing through with the chainsaw and release this thing fairly easily and without hitting too much dirt, but that'll be the last cut I make just in case. There's a lot of tree in that hole still. So what I'm up against right now is there is this large buttress root that comes down sort of like right into that hole. So that's what I'm trying to saw through it now. And it's quite a bit bigger than my bar length at the moment. So trying to come in here. I got some dirt out of the way. Should buy me some more space. But the other side looks like it's a little bit further along. So hopefully a few more minutes of cutting and this will be separated. Either I've cut all the way through it and it hasn't moved, or I can't reach it all. A little pinned in. So since I'm not really sure if this is cut all the way through, I'm looking down there now. You can see the light all the way through. So give it a little tug with the trailer and see if it actually is totally separated, just sitting there, or what, I guess. So it's looking like that thing is really stuck down there in the dirt. So I've got the trailer pretty well loaded now, so I think this is gonna be the first trip. I'll come back and grab that crotch and another one of those or something, and then we should be able to get in here and get a little more easy access to this thing, try and pull it out of the ground. So after a quick yet uneventful drive back, here we are, ready to get unloaded. I am a little tight for space here in the log yard. Normally I just put stuff right in the mill and cut it right away, but that thing is still up there waiting to go. So I think I'm gonna stage things, where are we at here? In front of this tree here. That'll give me a spot for all these little logs. They're all 8 foot and less, so they should fit there pretty nicely. So gravity's working in my favor this time. I can just pull these things off the trailer, and since I have the mini skid steer now, it's also a little bit more convenient to move around things, and I don't have to get things exactly where they need to be on the first go. And the last thing today, I'll just seal these things up with some end grain sealer. That's going to keep them from cracking as they sit here. And when I go pick up the next batch of logs, I bring the sealer with me and I'll seal up all the ones that I leave there for the future. The sooner you can get these things sealed up, the better. Keep that moisture and keep them from cracking and splitting as they increase stress as they start to dry. So this is a good little spot for storage. I get that question quite a bit of like where and how can I store logs to make sure that they are still good for sawing. So over here they're in the shade, so they're out of the sun. They'll keep them from drying out from the outside too quickly. I've got them on some blocks so they're off the ground, so that will keep them from rotting down there. And if the bark is loose, you can always pull it off to help to keep some insects from getting under there. So these will be really stable for storage for about a year, maybe 2 if we really need to, but they'll probably only be here for a few months. So I'll probably head out there again in a couple of days and go pick up another few logs and get them back here, and it'll be, I think it's probably gonna be like 3 trips, maybe 4 total. So see you back out there in a couple of days. Oh. just dropped it like straight in there. So that log is there kind of out of the way for now until I get the rest of the straight logs back, and they'll stack right there, and I'll eventually put this crotch here to kind of rest. That way it's off to the side of the driveway and out of the way, but it's a big crotch. So let's head back and make another trip and see what we can get back here. All right, so we're back for this guy again. Gil, the homeowner, got some exercise and dug out a lot of the space around the log. And it does look like there's still some material attached at the bottom of that kerf. And now with this big hole here, I'd have more access to get my chainsaw down there and cut that. However, not really feeling like I want to be down in a hole with a log when I release it. So instead of using the other bar in the saw, I got the longer bar out, which will allow me to stand, you know, not in a hole and make that last cut. And then it's be a matter of fishing this thing out of this hole. That's what we're dealing with. So real quick, let's take a look at the end of the log. So right here you can see this kind of discolored area. This is actually some rot. So it's pretty common to have some rot at the base of the tree. It's called butt rot. And so we have that here. Not really sure how far up into the tree it goes, but this is not that wide and it's still pretty solid. It's probably not going to go up that far. It's probably only like a couple feet in there. So that's not a huge deal, but I want to point that out before I get the sealant on there, which will make it a little bit harder to see. The other question I get quite a lot is like, how old are these trees? And do I count the rings? I don't usually count the rings because I kind of have a good idea of how old these trees are in general. Most of them are all about the same age. And I kind of go for more of a ballpark kind of estimate because it's a lot easier than sitting here and counting all those rings. So if I go here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 years right there. So if I come from here, that's 20 years and a little bit more there. So 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. And assuming that some of these rings are a little closer together towards the center, the trees usually start growing a little slower. And 70, 80 years old for this guy right here. All right, back for the last pickup. Got a few small things to get up here onto the trailer. Now, the interesting thing about small stuff is it's actually more challenging than the big stuff. So let's see what we can get on the trailer, and that'll be it.
This is the only kind of fishing Matt does. All right, here's the challenge. He's got to fit that sucker. Got to fit right there. There it is.
This could be like the last big run for this trailer.
I sincerely don't understand how they're gonna get over that. We'll find out.
Ugh. That tree took out a bunch of smaller trees when it came over, so this is a chunk of elm that I grabbed because it was small enough and light enough that I could throw it in the back of my truck. So this was a really fun pickup. I really enjoy getting out and doing these things. It's so amazing to talk to people and hear about the trees that impact their lives or were a big part of their lives for years in the past. So in this case, this tree was essentially the focal point of that family's front yard. They drove past it every day as they left the house, and there's a lot of memories there in that house and with the yard and with the tree. So it's just a powerful feeling for me to know that this tree that has so many memories tied to it will become something that can live indefinitely. These trees, just like us, don't live forever. So yeah, we got a lot of logs here. I think we're going to be pretty well set for sawmill content for a while, even though I do have quite a bit more logs to go get. There's trees coming down everywhere all the time. The supply of urban logs is extremely high. So doing what I can to save what I can. So hopefully you enjoyed this little adventure, getting out there, getting some work done, getting sweaty, and I know I loved it. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments on urban logging, anything on the sawmill or anything back in the shop, please feel free to leave me a comment, as well as be happy to answer any questions you might have. And until next time, Happy woodworking.